All right, in part B, we are writing this method collectComments, where we're basically going through all the reviews that make up this allReviews instant variable, and we want to return an array list of strings where these are only the reviews that had a comment that contained an exclamation point, and we're going to be formatting it in a certain way. Let's go ahead and write out the pseudocode so that we know what we're kind of working with here. The first thing that we will probably need to do is initialize a new array list. The reason why is because we're returning this array list of strings, and this isn't something that exists anywhere within the class now, so it'll probably be something we have to create in our method. So initialize an array list of strings. Next, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go through all of the reviews. So loop over all reviews. What do we want to do as we're looking at each of the reviews by itself? So first of all, the review, remember, correlates to this review class up here. So we're going to want to get the comment from that review so that we can figure out if it has an exclamation point in it or not. So get the comment from that review. If that comment contains an exclamation mark, then we also want to check if it either ends in an exclamation point or a period. And the reason why is because if it doesn't end in a period or exclamation point, we want to add a period in the end. So figure out if comment ends in exclamation. Just substitute these, exclamation point or period. If not, add a period at the end. Awesome. Then we need to add some information to our string before we can add it to our array list, right? So remember that it should start with the index of the review in allReviews. So prepend the index of the review to the string. We also want to include a dash there. So say for example a review was at index 3, we would prepend the 3 and the dash, and then we would have the comment. So prepend the index of the review and a dash to the string. Cool. So we've got the formatted string all set up. Remember, we still need to add it into our array list of strings though. So add to array list, and then remember, since this function returns an array list of strings, we're going to want to return the array list. All right, and that's basically the pseudocode for our collectComments. So let's go ahead and convert it into real code. So initializing an array list of strings. Let's call this, we have to add the type of the string as well. Let's call this formatted equals new array list strings. And then remember, since it's an object, we need to have those two parentheses. Okay, we've created that. Now we need to loop over all reviews. So just a simple for loop, all reviews dot length I++. Now, since index all reviews, what we get is a review object. We want to get the comment from that review. So remember that the comment from the getComment method within the review class returns a string. So that will be the type of comment. So string comment equals all reviews at i.getComment. Cool. Figure out if the comment contains an exclamation mark. So we'll only be adding this to this formatted array list of strings if it contains an exclamation mark anywhere within it. So this is where you look at your handy dandy cheat sheet, see if there are any methods that might allow you to do this. And the one that I think would work is index of. So you call comment dot index of, And what index of accepts as a parameter is whatever string you're trying to figure out, if it actually is included inside of the string that the method is being called on. So if comment.index of exclamation mark, and this will return a value between 0 and comment.length if that exists, or -1 if it doesn't. So if we want to determine if the comment contains 1, we'd say if the index of the exclamation mark is greater than or equal to 0. Next, we need to figure out if it ends in an exclamation mark or a period. Let's say string end is comment dot, here's another method from that little handy dandy chart. You add, you get the substring. So what this will do, we want to get the last substring, the string at the last index of our comment. So the way we can do that is comment.substring comment.length -1. So for example, if our string was hello, what this will do is implicitly the end of the substring is comment.length, but we don't need to include that as a parameter. So what this is going to do is it's going to return O, because that is the substring from comment.length -1 to comment.length. All right. String n is that last character. If end, remember we want to check if it equals an exclamation mark or a period. And equals period. Does that look right to you? No, right? So our if statement, we should only be checking if it doesn't end in an exclamation mark or a period. If it does, the string is good to go, and we just need to prepend the index in the dash. But we want to check that if it doesn't, we can add that period at the end. So if end does not equal the exclamation mark, and if it doesn't equal a period, then we want to add a period at the end. So we can just do that by saying comment plus equals period. Cool. We're almost done with our formatted string. We still need to prepend the index of the review and a dash to the string before we can add it to the array list, but we can really do that in the same line of code. So let's say formatted dot add. We're prepending the index of the review. The index of the review is this I. Remember, we're looping over all reviews, so that would be the index. Then we want to add in that dash. There's no space between the dash and the comment or the index, so we can just keep using string concatenation here and add the comment. So that's that. Then we also want to return the array list. So return formatted down at the bottom. And this is our final collect comments. As always, we want to go through this example to make sure our code is right. So we look at index 0 of all reviews. That comment, good thanks, contains an exclamation mark. So that means that we're going to be adding it to our formatted array list. It contains that exclamation mark. We go through this if statement. We get the last character in the string, so that would be the X from thanks. That is not an exclamation mark and not a period. So now our comment is good thanks period. And then we want to prepend the index of the review and a dash. So we're still at index equals 0. So we would do 0 dash good thanks. This has good thanks in it. Cool. Let's go to the next index. This review's comment does not have an exclamation mark, so we just skip over it. We don't add it to the formatted array list. We move on to I equals 2. The review at index 2's comment is great, which does contain an exclamation mark. So we go inside this if statement. We get the last character of the comment, which is an exclamation mark. We fail this if statement because it does equal an exclamation mark, so we don't need to add any punctuation. So now we just prepend the index, which is 2, and a dash, and then we add the comment. So now this formatted list has 2 entries in it. All right, and then moving on to I equals 3. The review at index 3 comments contains an exclamation mark. So we go inside this if statement, we find the last character of this string, which is a period. We fail this if statement because it does equal a period, so we don't append one at the end. We prepend the index of that review, which is 3, and a dash, and then the actual comment itself. So now we have these 3 entries in our array list, and then we move on to I equals 4. I equals 4, the review at that index comment does not contain an exclamation mark, so we do not add it into our formatted array list. So this is, and that was the last entry, so this is the entirety of our array list, and yep, that seems to match with what was expected. So this is what the collectComments method looks like if you remove all the pseudocode. We only add in the reviews comments that have an exclamation mark, and then we add a period at the end if it doesn't end in an exclamation mark or a period, and then we prepend it with the index of that review within allReviews, dash, and then the comment, and then we return that new array list that we created.